Chris?
Hi, Mark. Hi, Lori. Interior demolition on the old Key Arena just started today, and it will look dramatically different at that site in a couple of years. The NHL's Bill Daly told me the league is not concerned about the now extended timeline for the building, which will host a new franchise in 2021.
Happy to be out here.
Bill Daly is back in Seattle a full 8 years after he first broached a subject.
I think the Key Arena is a difficult arena for hockey.
Would the NHL need a new arena in order to put a hockey team in the Seattle area?
I would think so, yeah.
Now?
It's a very impressive project. I'm going to be thrilled, as they to watch as they continue to make progress.
Today, interior demolition began of the old Key Arena, and Daly says he's not concerned the new building will take longer than first expected. They announced the price has gone up, the timeline has stretched out. Any concern as far as the league is concerned about an extended timeline?
No, I've spent some time with club ownership and club management, and I saw spent some time with Tim Lywicki last week. No concerns at all on their end. Obviously, with the start being moved back to the 21-22 season, they have plenty of time to complete the project. It'd be great if they could get in very, early summer. They
want to have the building done in time for the expansion draft and for the NHL draft. Is that something that the NHL is looking at in 2021?
Well, it's something we would definitely consider, and we've certainly told the club that. Obviously it's going to depend a little bit on the completion schedule. They're aware of those difficulties. We're going to have to make that decision kind of well in advance of June of 21, but certainly it's a consideration right now.
Does the league have, in terms of the franchise name and the colors and whatnot?
It's primarily driven by ownership. Obviously we have approval rights, but we're certainly going to defer to the ownership group. I know they're going through a pretty intense process of trying to narrow that issue down. And
is there anything off the table?
Well, I think what Gary pointed out is that would pose a little bit of a conflict with some of the names we currently utilize in the league, but I don't think there's anything that's out of bounds necessarily.
Full context there, the question was about the Metropolitans being the name of the new franchise, and you heard Daly say that is not off the table. That's something that a lot of people want in Western Washington. One of the things that could be announced soon is the Seattle Group's top minor league franchise in the American Hockey League. Daly told me today he does not think that will happen next week, but it could happen pretty quickly, and gave strong hints the team will be located on the West Coast.